together and let's make some noise!
Mabuhay! Mabuhay Globe, and hello to my mixes, to everyone who have been waiting for this live takeover of mine. Welcome to another episode of Queendom by Miss Trans Global, a pageant for trans women by trans women. And today, you are joined by none other than the Miss Trans Global Philippines. Yours truly, Albion Rebelde. You pals can address me as a miss, mix, she, her, or they, them. So basically, those are the feminine and gender neutral pronouns. I am comfy with that. If you would comment down there later. Before we start, I'd like to ask, how is everyone doing? You can comment down on this live video how you're feeling right now. But I bet you had so much excitement during the previous live videos upon watching the live videos of my Queen sisters, because I know for a fact that they did really great on their live videos, and somehow it's actually making me feel pressured being in this position, because those live videos that my Queen sisters have started are really great. So kudos to my Queen sisters for setting the bar high, and of course for a job well done in representing our community. And if you're watching right now, I see Amanda right there. Thank you so much, Amanda. Amanda is Miss Indonesia. Thank you so much for your support. And for the others who are watching, please let me know by commenting, and I'd love to give you a shout out. Before we go on with our show today, please feel free to engage by commenting, asking questions, sharing this live, and of course, continue voting for me on the website at misstransglobal.com. I'm candidate number 14 if you are going to vote for me. And of course, other than myself, we have distinguished guests joining us today. So be sure to stay with us until the end of the program. All right. I see one question right there from Ms. Sahara, who is Albion. So let's start with my pageant journey. Of course, this is a pageant. Let me start by introducing myself with our first segment, that is the Transcending Beauty, or who is Albion in pageantry and beyond pageantry. I would describe myself as a person who loves a lot of things, who has a lot of interests. So I think if people would see me, would recognize, would remember me, I guess I would say that I am not just a pageant queen or a trans woman alone. Well, those are parts of my identity, but I am a lot more. I am an engineering student. I am a host. I am an artist, a cultural artist, a painter, a spoken word poetry artist, a model, and a student leader in our university. And I bet my schoolmates are watching right now. I can see them commenting. Shout out to Joseph, Adrian, and to all the Pupians out there who are watching right now. Thank you so much for your support. Right. My life, my identity, it's basically not just one thing. I got a lot of fields of interest, and I think those are the beauty in who Albion is. She's composed of who she has been since she was young, both the struggles and the wins that she has faced in life, and the different fields of interest. And I think that makes me a strong person, and that makes me the Albion that you know today. All right. Actually, I got questions prepared for this live show. I went on to my Instagram to ask for their questions, and I got them guided here today to my live video. But if you guys would like to ask further questions, please feel free to comment down so that we can have this conversation. It's just a chill live event for us, so that you get to know me better, and of course know my advocacies and my work. Tell us your life story. Hmm. All right. I Well, that is a hard question because I am thinking of where should I start with my life story. Um, but I guess I would describe my life story as a series of continuously knowing myself because I've went through a lot in knowing myself. I came out first. I came out a lot of times. I came out first as a queer because I know to myself that I am not straight, but I am not yet sure of who am I specifically because of course there is a lack of education when it comes to SOGSC so that we get to know ourselves better, so we get to navigate through different stuff in our life. And I think that navigation has created this life that I have experienced. And after that, I came out as a non-binary pansexual, and then later on, I felt like although I support the non-binary movement, I've really felt like I'm more comfy when I am addressed as a woman, when I am seen as a woman, and I've recognized just through the things that I do that when I do art, I paint, for example, women figures, and I just realized later on that I create that art for myself because that feels art is like an escapism for me and much more of a mirror of my truth as it is, let's say, a fantasy of my head, but it's much more representing my truth as um, I know it in myself that I wanted to be like those who are that like those that I am painting. And so my life story, I think it has peaked as when I came out as a trans woman and I came to be comfortable in this identity. And I feel like I know uh, firmly who I am now, and I am confident with who I am now. That's why I guess I would say that my life peaks as a trans woman or starts as a trans woman because this is the time that I get to live it fully and truthfully to who I am. And I cannot wait for the possible things that I can do more with this truth lived in me. Shout out to my national director for watching today. Hello, Mommy Janley. All right. So, in my guide questions, I was asked in my Instagram live, what is beauty to me? And how do we transcend our beauty, or how do we transcend beyond this concept of beauty and make it a progressive one? I think on a philosophical part, I remember someone asked me, if black is the color of death, then why is it so regarded as the color of beauty? And I guess just like love and just like in pageantry, I think beauty and love are are the essence of life, the driving forces in life, and they can have this great duality, um, like they can be from the simple forms up to their more complex ones, and sometimes it seems like these complex versions of their concepts, like beauty, they tend to be negative to us, but they tend to be negative to us, just like death. But actually, this more complex ones are just there to us, so we can recognize the beauty that there is in both of them, and the simpler and complex ones. For instance, we can appreciate the beauty that there is in life if we can recognize the beauty that there is in death, and so is in light. We can recognize the presence of light if we can recognize the presence of darkness. And on a political level, I think beauty is present in everyone. I think it is influenced so much by cultures as well, but on the existing colonial society that we have, wherein colonialism is prevalent, and it's still influencing a lot of cultures, just as imperialism of certain countries, like the um, US or Western ones, their beauty is also influenced in a sense that our standards of beauty are focused or centric to the uh, beauty standards of what it is, for example, to be white. And so, in that sense, beauty is somehow in that mentality is being used as a tool to oppress or discriminate people. And I think to go beyond this, we should also see beauty in a revolutionary manner, something that goes beyond our physical appearance, something that is present in all of us, and something that is much more reflective of our spirit, of our purpose. For example, in pageantry, it's no longer our physique alone, but the purpose, the advocacies that we stand for, and how well versed we are in fighting for them, and being a spokesperson for those advocacies and for our community. And I think in that essence, we can also transcend both beauty and pageantry from being a patriarchal or colonial one into something that can liberate our communities. Tell us about your experience in winning Miss Trans Global Philippines. It was surreal. It was I can't really believe when I won it, because before I joined it, I was just busy with my academics. It's not really my priority to join pageants, and I'm not that much of a fan of pageants. But um, a lot of my schoolmates, pupils, who are also joining us today. Hello, Kuya Lu. Hello, everyone who are commenting. Hello, Pupians. They encouraged me to join Miss Trans Global because they said I can. Hello, Vash. Vash said, "Let's go." They encouraged me to join because they said that it can be a good platform for me to further my advocacy, because I am doing the advocacy work even even just on my own, even before I joined this pageant, and even before having this platform, and even in our university, even if I don't hold, for example, a position in the council, I am doing my part as a member of an organization, and as an individual in our community, to fight for the rights of the studentry, and of course of people of diversity within our universities. And it's just that using this platform has helped me um, advance my advocacies. And I guess my schoolmates were right when they said that it will further my cause, because further our cause, because when I got it, I was not really thinking of how it can influence my life, or how much of a platform it can give me, or how much, for example, fame or glory that it can give me. But when I got it, I was shocked, because Miss Trans Global Philippines really has a lot of reach, having well-known pageant people or beauty queens join us there. It has reached a lot of people, and so there is a great platform for us to raise our advocacy and conversations regarding the segregation of trans women to cis women. And I am just happy to share my point there, and I am happy that um, people recognized my points, my recognized our advocacy, our calls for equality, and that even LGUs in our country, like for example, Miss Mayor Mayor Jerry, and from Iloilo City, where I came from, and also our mayor in San Janicias greeted me and has raised the calls to protect trans kids as well. And it's just about time that we have this politicians join us, because we are lobbying for a policy or a bill in our country, which is the anti-discrimination bill. And I would love that to see them help us, not raise us, not just in when we come to have this events or when we win, but also to have materialized efforts that or tangible actions that would help our community. So it goes beyond pageantry when we use these platforms to influence even those who are having powers, and of course the broader audience the broader mass who can unite in our call for better conditions to set to our community. Ferdy asked, which are your contributions for the trans world as an activist, or how? Um, I think our work for our community, it is not just placed on one person alone or myself. I am not here to, let's say, empower you, because I believe that the community, the people already have power, and it's just that we need to remind them of that great power that they have. I am not a messiah or a savior. I don't see myself as that, and we, as advocates, we shouldn't see ourselves as that, because it is still collective power that will help us win our fight to liberation and for equality. But to be directly answering that question, as an individual, I have helped in our collective efforts in our university. As a student leader, we have protested against the mandatory haircut that is gendered, that is repressing people of diverse OGSC of their expressions, and has affected their well-being. Because when your well-being is affected, then so it affects your development, or your growth, your contribution to the society that we are in, and that is really dehumanizing. And so we protested against that, and we also won. Lobbying efforts. For example, in this student handbook revision at our university, we were able to win the SOGSC provisions that are protecting people of diverse OG within our university. So one of my guest speakers are also my allies when we lobbied that. And also another guest speaker of mine will be talking about that on a much broader topic, much more on a national level. And aside from that, we have also protested the repressive policies regarding our dress codes. Because these dress codes tend to attack more on those trans people and not non-conservative individuals than anyone else. So there's still unfair treatment when it comes to policies. That's why we protested against it, and thankfully, through collective efforts, again, we have won it. And of course, the fight doesn't end there. Even amidst pandemic, there are collective efforts for us to continue the Pride events, because it is needed. We need to continue our pride, the fight for our pride, because the discrimination and the stigma is non-ending as well. Tell us more about your advocacy. My advocacy revolves. So I have this campaigns when I was in Miss Trans Global Philippines that I'm still working on with advocates, so I can materialize it. But because there is some time where I am busy with the Miss Trans Global, I wasn't able to finish them yet, but it is in the works. So first, I have this Trans Now for Trans Tomorrow, which I later on recalibrated as Transform Tomorrow. So it aims to create a inter-institutional and generational efforts of network within our trans community and ally organizations and individuals. So when we say intergenerational, we are working with those who are older than us, our trans pioneers, and also those who are younger, just like the trans kids, because as a trans youth, I see the essentiality of our intergenerational pride altogether. And when we say institutional, there will be a coalition from universities to universities, work institutions, academic institutions, so that we get because we are strong as individuals, we are strong in our institutions, but we can be stronger when we are collectively fighting for our causes and advancing them. And I think to have this network, these coalitions, these allyships from different fields and disciplines will help us further advance our plight and win it fully or better. So that is for one of my advocacies. And the second one is the hashtag intransectional, which means from the word trans, from the word intersectional, and then I inserted trans because as trans individuals, we see the the potential, the strength of our intersectional plight. Our struggle should not be in a vacuum or only focusing in our community, but we should also denominate our plight to, for example, cis people, cis women, um, sectors of farmers, indigenous peoples, and workers, students, as a student myself, because I think we tend to see our sectors as separate from one another, or like we are much focused on on our sectors alone. But I think that is also a mechanism of a larger oppressive system that are oppressing us. That is a mechanism of our oppressors for us to not see the great denomination that we have. And so, as we focus on our sectors alone, we sort of fail to see or to create this broader unity um, that will easily take down our oppressors or take down the systems of oppression that has long time oppressed us. And I think if only through recognizing the great denomination that we have in our intersectional struggle and uniting to fight that one systemic oppression, only then can we truly forward as a society. So basically, it was taken from the concept of humanity, but this time, I have extended the efforts to other sectors as well. As someone who has also come from a family of farmers, a student, and also, of course, I have workers in we have workers in our family. So I see how connected our struggles are. All right. Any other questions? And also as a trans student leader, I have worked within the institution, but also as an artist, I have used my artworks, um, my spoken word poetry skills, my hosting skills, my painting skills, or yeah, and as a platform to raise our advocacy, because sometimes our advocacies when done are just sounding technical, but through art we get to inspire people, we get them to get a more intimate part of our struggle, and thus they can understand us better. And as you can see on the screen right now, those are some of my artworks are inspired by LGBTQ plus relationships and the mental health of trans people, the repression that there is in our academic institutions. And of course, that is me in the Metro Manila Pride Parade. I have been active in Pride Parades. So, yes. And in advocating in the academic field as an engineering student, I think it is also political that I am a trans woman and I am proudly taking up space in a field that is predominantly dominated by men. Um, that is why I am also pursuing my degree, because I want to show them that we are capable of entering spaces, whatever spaces that we aspire to be in, just as any person would aspire to. I think everyone should should be should be given a chance to dream and to actualize their dreams. But our dreams will only, remain as dreams and won't be materialized if we don't fight these oppressive systems. So I think as I actualize my dreams, I'm working them hand in hand as an advocate who rallies, who protests, who lobbies, who takes up whatever spaces just so my advocacy will be heard, our community will be heard, and so that I can contribute to the collective struggle that we have in our community. Why do you think you could be the next Miss Trans Global? I think, honestly, I think, no, I am confident that any of us queens are deserving and can well versely represent the community and be the Miss Trans Global 2021. And it is not about winning the title per se, but having this platform alone is already great. It is already great to have this amazing queens all together. We came from different fields, different orientations, and I guess to have this event alone is already a win for the community. Just my presence here, just their presence here, that is already a win for all of us. We don't need to win Miss Trans Global to feel like winners. We just need to represent well our communities and find the unity that there is within the organization, of course. And yes, it is not just one face that will represent Miss Trans Global. It is, even if I win, it is not just I don't want to be iconized, because when I won Miss Trans Global Philippines, people say, you are the face of Miss Trans Global Philippines. You are the face of trans women in the Philippines. But no, that is not true. There are a lot of faces, have a lot of spectrum. There is a broad spectrum of humanities when it comes to the trans people in the Philippines. Thank you, Mami Johnny. And I don't think one face can represent that alone. But if you are going to get a spokesperson, that spokesperson should be able to recognize this and to know that he, or they are not there to glorify themselves, but to work hand in hand with organizations, with advocates in raising our community, so that all of us will feel like royalties. We will have the better conditions, the better treatment that we have, and that can only be done if our Miss Trans Global is one that takes words into actions, into tangible actions, and goes beyond themselves. A Miss Trans Global, like I said in my intro video, should go beyond her generation or her group of people, her sector, her board, her country. And that I have worked for a long time so that I can carry that work as a Miss Trans Global Philippines. All right, I saw one question raised there. Can that be popped up again, Miss Hara? Your comments are overwhelming. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Vash. Grabe naman, that is an overwhelming comment. Give her the crown. But if I could just crack the crown, share it as pieces to every one of us, that would be great. It's not the crown per se, it's the platform, it's the unity, it's the sisterhood, it's the community coming together that makes this event more beautiful. All right, can we move on to our next questions? Oh my god, I guess we are going past our time. Can we? All right. So, all right. Before we proceed to our guest speakers, and I'm so sorry I went past the time. I haven't noticed the time. I was talking a lot, and you guys are commenting a lot, and I love to talk. But okay. I will be presenting now for our second segment a special spoken word poetry that I have prepared. It's about trans plight in the Philippines. And there is also a trigger warning. I would like to warn everyone who are watching this. So trigger warning, it will be containing some flashing images. There is a mention of rape. If you're not comfy with that, you can just leave for like 8 minutes or so. And there is also nudity, blood, trans killings, violence in this. So just a trigger warning for all of you. So Miss Hara, you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, my a spoken word poetry that I prepared for all of you. It's entitled Golden.
Have always been existent and natural, for we are just as close as you are. But we know we can be diamonds, and we courageously shape that fate, pressured enough to be frail at your remolding. Whether you put us in whatever state, we will remain shining, golden. There will be no bodies in rivers, no bodies in toilets, no bodies in luggages, no bodies in the streets, no bodies invalidated, no bodies objectified, no bodies of another trans sister, brother, and non-conforming siblings added as mere numbers to the growing statistics of gender-based hate crimes. You fear, you question our power to create ourselves, like the gods that came before your religion. Call us heretics and burn our bodies, make our heads bow as you crown us in thorns, as you call us queens like a trend while invalidating our identities. Hold us in trial with the men and still charge us as rapists in dresses. Crucify us like an image familiar to your belief, because he too saw injustices and begged to differ, transcend from what is said. Can't you see your bigotry? Can't you see your hypocrisy? Can't you question your power of entitlement over our own bodies? You obsessively assert your dominance to the extent, and still we are the ones you call extremists. You say our rights and by the rights of yours, but we just end without having rights, and yours are no rights but privileges. Why can't you see that? Are they too blindingly golden? Because beyond this analogy, we are just as human as you, who takes up space, dreams, loves, and seeks to be understood. But most places we can't go without fearing for our lives. Most dreams we can't hope without being objectified. Most relationships we can't keep without secrecy. Most truth we can't explain without being silenced first. We don't get access to revolve like you do. Maybe it's time you start watching and dissecting your own foundations instead. The foundations of long existing systemic oppression to gender, to race, to social classes, because our truth is not for you to discover but for us to narrate. Only through listening can you understand. Only through understanding can you know. Only through knowledge can you not fear. Only through not fearing can you not hate. And only through not hating us can you see how we, as you are, golden. And as golden as we are just as vulnerable to the greed of the ruling classes. Just as how the Philippines is treated by the imperial US, like how Jennifer was treated by Pemberton, exploited, objectified, commodified, an entitlement that they can easily dispose, but more so of a force that they fear, because we hold the power to dismantle their foundations of dominance. We are Jennifer.
All right. I hope you liked the presentation. That poem was presented last 2020 for the commemoration of Jennifer Laude's death. Jennifer Laude's case is among the most uh, known stories here in the Philippines regarding trans killings, and it doesn't just end there. The trans killings are still persisting up to this day, and that is why advocates continue to lobby. Aside from the SOGI equality bill, advocates are also lobbying for the protection of trans people when it comes to the hate crimes that there is in our society. So, as they say, Philippines is already a LGBTQ plus friendly country, but actually, just as you've seen, even the basic SOGSC quality bill has still not passed for 21 years, and I don't think that is being friendly of them to us. All right, now talking about SOGSC, let us now proceed to our next segment. Hello, Nia. Thank you. Thank you, viewers. Let us now proceed to our next segment, the third segment, which is entitled The Transform Tomorrow. I will be giving you an idea on my campaigns this Miss Trans Global. But of course, you have to vote for me if you would like to see them in the next rounds of the competition. But for now, to give you a gist, we have the Transform Tomorrow SOGI Inclusivity, or sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression inclusivity in academic institutions. So we will be joined by none other than Miss Amber Kiban. All right. Let me introduce our guest. So just a briefer, transform to more. Okay. So our next guest is a transgender woman from the Cordilleras. She's pursuing her college education at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, taking up Bachelor of Arts in Speech Communication. She has been in the advocacy for equal rights and non-discrimination on the basis of one SOGI SC since 2012 when she joined UP Baylan, the premier student LGBTQ plus organization in the country, wherein she served as a secretary for academic year 2013 to 2014, the Internal Affairs Committee head for the academic year 2015 to 2016. And in 2018, she assumed the position director for policy and campaigns in the Philippine Anti-Discrimination Alliance of Youth Leaders, or the PANTAY, a national alliance of various organizations that are advocating for equal rights and non-discrimination. Aside from as a policy and campaigns director, she was also able to engage in various local and national lobbying efforts for the passage of the Anti-Discrimination Ordinances, or ADOS, and the Anti-Discrimination Bill, more popularly known here in our country as the SOGI Equality Bill. Aside from gender equality, she is also a staunch advocate for sexual health, for sexual and reproductive health and rights. In fact, she is a certified community-based screening motivator who can conduct free and confidential HIV testing in communities. She was also part of the initiative of the Quezon City Health Unit to localize the implementation of RA 11166, or the Philippine HIV and AIDS Policy Act, in the city. Finally, she is an advocate for Indigenous people's rights. She has actively advocated for the recognition of the right to self-determination of our IP siblings. And to further her cause, she served as the Secretary General of UP Salin Lahi Alliance, an alliance of regional and provincial organizations in UP Diliman for academic year 2015 to 2016. And as a president of UP Namnama, the Ethno-Linguistic Organization of Ilocano students in UP for academic year 2019 to 2020. Everyone, I am proud to present to you none other than Miss Amber Kiban.
Hi everyone, good evening. Thank you so much, Albion, for having me, and thank you so much, Miss Trans Global, for this opportunity.
Of course, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence as well. Miss Amber is among the trans women that I look up to. I have worked with her in a seminar way back in 2020, before the pandemic.
2020, before we were all locked down, exactly the weekend
Yes.
before the lockdown.
Yes, and I just remember having this conversation with her regarding would you change your fate as a trans woman, and that answer is amongst the most inspirational speeches that I've heard. So I am just thankful that you have accepted my invitation to join us today.
Actually, it's my
All
pleasure
right.
to be here. using our platform for the greater good is really something worthwhile that we trans women should be maximizing, given that we don't have much platform to begin with. So we have to take every opportunity to take up space, as you have mentioned, and to use those platforms wisely to talk about our advocacy.
Yes, exactly. And that is why I also invited those guests that I look up to and I believe would well versed raise those advocacies, because I do know that this event might be just about me or get to know me, but I would like to extend this so that we can further advocacy. So without further ado, would you please give our audience a brief explanation of SOGI SC and how essential you think it is to have anti discrimination policies on the basis of SOGI SC in various institutions, particularly in the academe?
Well, I think we have to start by saying that everyone has SOGS because it's one of the common misconceptions that only LGBT people have SOGS. In fact, every one of us, every single person has a sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, and sex characteristics. Very quickly, sexual orientation is who you are attracted to, who you like, okay? Who you are romantically, sexually attached to. So every one of us would be attracted to someone or to no one, right? So it's pretty normal and common for all of us. Next is gender identity. It's how you identify yourself. It's how you see yourself. Okay, so it doesn't matter if your identity matches the one that is assigned to you at birth or it's different from that is assigned to you at birth. What's important is all of us sees ourselves as someone. And that is the essence of gender identity. Gender expression, on the other hand, is how you express your gender, your experience of gender. So it may or may not correspond to your gender identity. So you could be man, you could identify as a man, you could see yourself as a man, but act feminine or express yourself in a feminine manner. You could identify yourself as genderqueer, yet you choose to express yourself in a feminine manner, and that's okay. So, gender expression does not necessarily mean that your gender expression needs to match what is prescribed to your gender identity. It being an expression is free to have a diverse range of expressions available for that identity. And finally, sex characteristics. I think it's very important to know that our sexes are not stuck in a binary, meaning to say, you could have a wide array of male characteristics and female characteristics. That's why we have women who have bodily hairs when we expect women to not have bodily hairs, right? It's because our sex characteristics do not exist in a binary, it exists in a spectrum. That's why we have men who have higher pitch in their voices, and that's not because they're gay, but it's because our bodies are made differently from one another. That our bodies are valid as they are. And that we have to recognize that we have intersex siblings who are also valid and whose realities need to be heard as well. So, why is it important to have a SOGI based policy that would protect us from discrimination? In the Philippines, for example, a lot of people say that there are already Bill of Rights in the Constitution that would protect us. There's already a non-discrimination clause in the Constitution. So what gives? Why is it still important? It's because we have to understand that we need laws to be able to implement these principles of equality and diversity and acceptance. Because without laws, these principles are just words, okay? And it's important for us to take action to have these words transform into action, because at the end of the day, us ourselves as rights holders in the perspective of human rights, we have to assert for our rights. We have to assert our right for equality, because equality is our right. We deserve equality. We need equality. We demand equality. So it's very, very important for us to fight for SOGI based anti discrimination policies, because we need to put an end to that cycle of culture wherein people like us who belong to the LGBTQ plus community are treated as second class citizens in our country, are treated without dignity and human rights. We need to start taking up spaces, as Albion mentioned earlier, in order to assert what is rightfully ours, instead of succumbing to people saying that you're just demanding more for yourselves. It's not. It's demanding what is right for us. It's demanding what you are enjoying as individuals so that we all can enjoy the equal and same rights that we should be having. So why is it important to have SOGS sensitive or responsive policies in academic institutions? Well, personally, I feel like education being a right should not be discriminatory. Education being something that everyone should enjoy should not discriminate on who gets to enjoy it just because they identify a certain way, just because they are attracted to a person whom society thinks they should not be attracted to. Education should not be taken away from people just because of who they are. It's not a valid excuse for that. And it being a right, I feel like everyone needs to get to enjoy it. And in schools in the Philippines, for example, there are many cases of LGBT students who get discriminated and do not pursue their education. And that is a very big problem that we have to address. Because what would happen to these LGBTQ plus people if they do not achieve their education? Their opportunities in life would be limited as well. And it would create that cycle of oppression and discrimination and poverty. So we need to provide education to people to help them access more opportunities in life. It does not mean that when you have education, you would be successful in life. Of course, that is not what we are trying to say here. But it offers you more opportunities, and sometimes it's opportunities that really breaks or makes a person for most of it. So we need to provide them with education, and we need to protect them from discrimination that might prevent them from pursuing their education. We have these stories, for example, from where Albion is from PUP, in the senior high school and in the high school programs, wherein we had a case to have handled in Pantay, wherein or assisted in handling in Pantay, wherein there is a transgender student that almost did not make it to the graduation and almost was not allowed to graduate just because of this absurd haircut policy. It's as if your haircut has something to do with your intelligence. It's as if your haircut would devaluate your academic excellence and your academic achievements. When in reality, your haircut is irrelevant to your academic standing, right? Your uniform is irrelevant to your academic standing. So it's very, very important to oppose these kinds of oppressive policies and to fight for what is right and to fight for our rights.
Thank you so much, Miss Amber, for that comprehensive and brief explanation of it. I almost got the SOGSC, and I bet our audience also got it for that brief explanation, but very comprehensive. And you know what? I actually prepared a PowerPoint presentation. I was hoping to present a brief discussion of it, but due to the time constraint, we would have to proceed to your segment. But thankfully, your answer is just so comprehensive. And I would like to commend that part when you said that SOGI, I see that it is present in everyone. And because I think a lot of our cis hetero counterparts would be against it because they think it is a special right for us when the rights that they are experiencing now are being privileges to them in the first place. And this SOGSC, I call it a bill, is even far from is just the bare minimum of us and of our rights. And we still have a lot to go through even after it will be passed. All right, so shall we proceed to the next question?
Yes,
Um, I know you are a long running advocate in the community, as I have said earlier. So, would you kindly give us an overview of how the campaigning and lobbying for Soji Equality Bill has been for our country in the Philippines?
Oh my God. It's a very it's a very painful story.
Right.
I started with advocacy in 2012. So I was able to witness three congresses in full, including this current Congress we have. So in the Philippines, congresses is the term for the political terms and people who are seated in Congress. So we are currently in the 18th Congress. So I witnessed 17th in full and 16th in full. And it's very, very difficult figuring out the dynamics every Congress, because every Congress the composition of the people who are seated are would be different, and that means a different dynamics when it comes to dealing with opposers and looking for champions for people who would sign the bill and co-author the bill. It's very heartbreaking that during the 17th Congress, that was the closest we ever made to the Soji equality law. And yet, because of the selfish interest of people in power, it was postponed and then postponed again until it got back to zero. Because in the Philippines, once a bill does not make it past the third reading for both the House of Representatives and the Senate, it will go back to zero. So you will have to refile it again for next Congress. And that is a very, very difficult process because that includes looking for the next champion who would file it in the first place and looking for co-authors who would co-sign the bill. So it's for the 16th Congress, there was so much opposition from the House of Representatives. Plus, the Soji Equality Bill did not have a version yet in the Senate. And it's important for the Soji Equality Bill to both have a version in the House of Representatives and in the Senate for it to be passed as a legislation. During the 17th Congress, that's when we had the very first senator who would actively lobby and campaign and champion for the Soji Equality Bill in the Senate. And that's in the personality of Senator Risa Hontiveros, whom we have actually worked with multiple times in advocacy. And she was a very pleasant person to work with. And I hope a lot more senators and legislators would be like her, who are really passionate about the advocacies and the causes they are championing and fighting for. So she's very, very consultative. And for us as a community, it's very important for us to be consulted because we have experienced for so many times to be talked over upon. And it's very, very difficult when people talk over you, talk over your demands, talk over your needs, which is why we really laud Senator Risa for really taking the time to consult and engage discussions with the community, with the stakeholders. Um, Looking for support is very difficult because sometimes you really have to work on persuading legislators. You really have to come back there every now and then to get to engage in a dialogue with them or to talk to their staff to have you set up for a meeting. So it's very, very difficult, honestly. I remember an experience in the Senate. We went back and forth to the Senate around three times in a span of 2 months. And the Senate, if you are from the Philippines, you know that that's very far from where I'm from. I'm from Quezon City, and the Senate is in Pasay. And people in the Philippines would know how far that is from Quezon City. But despite the distance, we still go there as advocates. Why? Because it's very, very important to show to legislators that we are really committed to the things that we are fighting for. Sometimes it's really important to show to them that you are really passionate about the bill that you are lobbying for. So there are times where we have brought them flowers for Valentine's, balloons. We brought them cakes for Christmas. No, was that for Christmas? Is that we brought them cakes, tapos we brought them letters, love letters. We also brought them rainbow umbrellas. So we did so many things just to convince them to already proceed with the period for interpellation. But you know what's really, really painful with all of that that happened during the 17th Congress is that there were senators who signed as co-author in the bill who wanted to schedule for interpellation, but every time their schedule came up, they would always postpone it or say that something is up, that's why they cannot proceed, or they're absent outright. And that really hurts the morale of the community. That really hurts the morale of the advocates who have been tirelessly going there every week to make sure that the bill is being scheduled, it's being discussed. It's very painful to be there just realizing that you are awaiting a period of interpellation only to be greeted by the message that, hey, the period of interpellation won't proceed today because apparently the senator who was supposed to interpellate the bill backed out or is absent or postponed it. So these are the intricacies of lobbying that a lot of people don't actually see. But it's really the most painful part when you see that your bill is being swept under the rug as if it's not something that's urgent, considering how many, and I'm sorry for the late trigger warning for everyone, but even after seeing the cases of discrimination, violence, and death that the LGBT community, especially the trans community, had to face, just 2 nights ago on Twitter, we were greeted by a video of someone in Mindanao who got brutally attacked while walking on the street by someone just because they identify as gay. And that is very painful to see because it triggers emotions that, will I get hit too for being who I am as a person? Is it a valid reason enough for people to hurt me or to for people to hurt the people that I love? You know, because what a lot of people don't understand is whenever we witness cases of discrimination, of hate crime, it doesn't just affect the person who is being personally afflicted. We're not only talking about the damages that it inflicts to the person who is being violated. It affects the entire community. It puts the community at unrest. And I think that's a lot of people, that's a thing that a lot of people don't realize, that when you harm one of us, you attack all of us. And I think that as a trans community, as a LGBT community, we need to stand up for one another because whatever happens to one of us can happen to any one of us. So yeah, I guess it's very important as well to fight for and continuously lobby for the anti-discrimination bill until it becomes a legislation.
Um, Thank you so much for giving us an idea on how it has progressed the socio equality, the lobbying efforts for socio equality bill here in our country. Uh, your 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 answer reminded me your answer regarding our legislators who have been allies to us and those who are falsely being allied to us has reminded me of my final answer in the Miss Trans Global Philippines, and I think you have hit it. That is integration. Most of people ask me what does it mean when we integrate, and I think I would also raise an example, which is consultation that Miss Senator that Senator Rees has done for our community. And I think it is important because only through that can we better ourselves as allies. And also, Soji SC although it haven't been um, um, it haven't been materialized as a law yet or passed as a law. There are efforts, local efforts. It has been starting from local efforts, now raising up to the hopefully the national one, and one of which are those who are in academic institutions. And I would also be proud to say that our city here in Manila have also raised an ad, have also had an ADO, and also our school in PUP. After those reports of repression and um, intimidation among trans women, they have also created the Center for Inclusivity and Diversity, um, which is just great to know. And I am confident that sooner or later we are going to pass the social equality bill, hopefully this year and or the coming year. And that is also our call to the politicians out there, because we are not going anywhere, and someday this will be passed, and it's just a matter for you to choose which side of the history you will be with. Is it the right one or the wrong one?
You know what,
Moving on.
Aldrian? Um, Something that I realize is that with what you said, that we're not going anywhere. We've been here for 21 years. The very first
Exactly.
anti-discrimination bill was filed in 2000. It's already 2021. We've been here for 21 years and we'll be here for another 21 years and more until that bill becomes
Exactly.
legislation.
And that is exactly what's beautiful, I think, in our community. I mean, we see younger LGBTQ plus individuals. There is an ongoing trend, and hopefully not just a trend, but a reality that even those who are in junior high school are fighting for the social equality bill. And it's just great to see that, as well as a trans youth myself. All right. I guess you have hit the other questions, so let me proceed to this one. Um, much as a message to the academic institutions, how do you think can our academic institutions be better allies in molding a more inclusive society for their students, employees of diverse SOGI? And you may cite efforts done within the community as one that have worked hand in hand with the community.
I think it's important to say at the get-go that saying things is different from doing things. Okay. Saying that your school values inclusivity and diversity is different from doing inclusivity and diversity efforts. So it's very important for us as advocates, for us as LGBT youth, to demand it in the first place. That if it's not there, it's not there. It's a principle that I think a lot of us need to remember, that when you say something and it's not written on paper, then it's not there. You need to look for receipts. And I know the community loves receipts. So let's exercise looking for receipts. If your school says that it values diversity, where in the school policy is diversity? Where in the school rules, in the guidebook, and in the handbook is diversity? And I think that is reflected by the efforts that have been happening in my university. I'm from the University of the Philippines, and we have been working really closely with various offices and institutions inside the university. In fact, we have already institutionalized our UP Pride celebration, our annual Pride celebration. And it's very, very important for us to have an institutionalized Pride organization, because Pride celebration, because it recognizes and puts merit to our struggle for equality and for our struggle for equal rights. Another thing that we need to do is to push for policies. For example, in UP, we have a guideline that was released earlier this year. It's a guideline for teaching staff on and teaching and non-teaching staff on how to deal with transgender and gender non-conforming students. So we have a we have a policy memorandum on how to actually deal with people like you and me. And I think that's very beautiful because it encapsulates the message for equality, visibility, and recognition, that they are recognizing our existence. There are also initiatives in the past wherein we have an online registration system in the university, wherein in the past we have continuously lobbied for it to recognize our lived names instead of our legal names. That whenever we're dealing with temporary university documents, for example, you're just applying for something inside the university or for attendance, for example, that we would recognize the student's lived name and not their legal name, because that would benefit a lot of transgender students in the university. Although we haven't progressed yet, one of the online applications in the university already recognizes transgender students in its application process. And I think it's very, very telling of the progress that we have made. Because when I entered the university virtually, you have no choice but to conform to what is the standards, to what is being imposed on us. But now we have already been asserting and fighting for what we think is right for us, and we have seen those changes. So, enough about my school, but how about the other works that I've done in other universities and institutions? Well, we have a lot of universities as well, especially in Metro Manila, in the University Belt area, for example, wherein they have been creating SOGI specific policies to protect their students from discrimination and harassment by professors. So I guess it's very, very important as well to highlight the role of student organizing. That it's true student organizing wherein we could see, changes and progress in how we attack and how we move about this changes in perspectives and how we influence policy making in our academic institutions. We have also seen in the past 2 to 3 years the rise of high school students who are also now asking or requesting for SOGS training and are asking for how would we pass a SOGS policy in our school. And mind you, these are high school students belonging to their student government. So this is very, very refreshing to see, because when I was in high school, I don't even know what SOGI was. I had no idea that there is such thing as SOGI. But now, kids nowadays are the ones taking the initiative to ask these questions. Questions that people in power in their institutions might not have asked in the first place. So it's very, very inspiring and refreshing to see these kinds of progress in our educational institutions. That with the rise of social media as an important platform, we have already seen the rise of awareness. Of course, we will not settle for less. We have to admit that there is so much work still left to be done. But it will also empower us more, and it will revitalize the energies that we have lost with the very, very long work that we have done, to continue on pushing and fighting, because little by little we are changing perspectives, little by little we are changing the narrative, and little by little we are changing the world we live in.
That is so beautiful, Miss Amber. I really love how you have pointed out that you know saying that you are inclusive as an institution is not enough, but you should have this materialized efforts. Like it reminds me of our lesson in in way back in high school, the de jure and the de facto. By fact it
Mhm.
exists, or by actions it exists, and it should exist as well as a law. And even if policies exist and they are not existing or practiced in the institution, that is not enough as well. So they should go hand in hand. That is why our efforts as advocates doesn't end just by the passing of social equality bill. We still have a lot of work to do, and that is so frustrating actually to see that even the social equality bill, which is just a start of it, actually is not even passed for 21 years. So I think that is so unfair to us. And we still have a lot of work to do. And also, I have I have taken from your answer that the importance of that there is an intergenerational struggle that we have and interinstitutional, working within the institution as education is also um, a strong force that can kill this discrimination and stigma because education because these stigma and discrimination came from fear and fear from what they don't know yet and and I think these are also with these are also the things that I have looked upon when I have created my campaigns way back Miss Trans Global Philippines, and which I have also incorporated in my Miss Trans Global Journey, my campaigns in Miss Trans Global Journey. And I hope whatever happens in Miss Trans Global Journey, I can work with you even after this. I would love to work with you because your visions, your seems to be aligning with me, and I know that through our collective efforts we can do so much more, and I hope to work with you more soon. Actually, I got a lot of questions prepared for you, but your answers are so on point that you you actually answered like two of them in just one speech. So I guess I no longer have questions for you, but would there be any parting messages that you would like to give to our audience and those who are watching from other countries as well?
Well, I would like to quote Electra from Pose. Our
Of
presence
course, love
threatens
her.
you. And you should be threatened because we will not stand as long as there is discrimination. We will not stand around as long as there is violence against any one of us. Yes, you should be threatened. You should be threatened because we will fight for equality, and we will fight for equality unrelentlessly. And that is something that we as a community should hold on to. That our existence threatens their fragile ideologies, it threatens the privileges that they hold on to and cling on to. So it is our responsibility to continuously threaten the comfort of their privileges and wake them up to the reality that the world is still not fair for all of us, and we will not stop at anything but equality and justice.
Indeed. Any other plug? Anything you want to plug? Like an event that you would go to in this coming days?
Well, I'm currently the national convener for LGBTQIA plus for Lenny Coalition, and this coming Friday, we will have our official media launch. It will be streamed live via our Facebook profile, so you could go to LGBTQIA plus for Lenny on Friday 1 p.m. for our live media launch.
Yes, of course, and of course. Speaking of, I would like to encourage everyone as well to register now for the coming elections, and of course, as we are using any platform that we can maximize, to advance our struggle, then we should also use the democracy that we have, the elections, the voting. All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Amber. See you next. See you on our next live on IG.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Albie. I'll see you later.
Thank you. All right. So now let us move on to our next segment. Of course, Miss Amber is really good with speaking, and she has raised so much good points. And I hope you will learn more with our next guest speaker, because she is also one of the mother figures and feminist figures that I look up to way back in first year college of mine and my senior high school years. She has always been one of my inspirations as well, and that's why I also invited her. So let me introduce her to you guys. All right. Our next guest is the Vice Coordinator of the Concerned Artists of the Philippines, PUP. Her research interest involves around linguistics, gender studies, and protest art. everyone, my dearest colleague, senior and the former Sandigan na Mag-aaral para sa Sambayanan President, Ms. Maya Santos.
Hi.
Hello, Ms. Maya. You're looking
Hi,
great
Abby.
today.
So good to see you again. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've been waiting for this. Okay.
Also, thank you so much for acknowledging my invitation. As I have said, I am inviting those who I look up to greatly, and you are one of them. As a feminist figure, I've in our community and PUP, I have really looked up to you because uh, your advocacy works are inclusive, and we will be talking about that more on later. But yeah, I would like everyone to know you. So let's proceed to our discussion. All right. Anyways, this segment will be
Okay.
was entitled hashtag Womanity. So to give everyone a briefer of what hashtag Womanity is, it is a campaign by the reigning Miss Trans Global 2020, Miss Mela Habijan, in her Queen's speech, which aims to build allyship amongst trans and cis women, united through the essence of humanity. As my life takeover will be revolving around the topics of allyship, of course, and as a trans youth, I recognize the strength of advancing previous campaigns upon understanding that our struggle is long term. So this humanity in connection to my United hashtag United Women campaign way back Miss Trans Global Philippines, which is also a intersectional unity among women's plights, both trans and cis. So this unity can be extended to other sectors our through my Queen's speech, which you should be looking forward to. If you want to see it, you should vote for me as well. So in that Queen's speech, I have raised the hashtag in transactional, which essence will hopefully be is about extending these efforts to other sectors of the society as well. And I hope you get an idea of it in our discussion today. All right. Miss Maya, I prepared some questions for you. So my first question is,
Okay.
of course, our audience should know you because um, of course I'm just proud that you are here with me, and I would like them to know you as well, as I have known you as this inspirational figure to me. So would you please give our audience an overview of yourself and your work as an artist, a writer, an activist, particularly surrounding the topics of feminism and gender studies?
Sure. So, hi, good evening to everyone who's watching. I'll be take over for MTG. Actually, Albie was my schoolmate in PUP, so we've shared a lot of memories together advocate. Um, Way back in college, I've joined a lot of youth organizations. As an aspiring writer, ever since I was a freshie, I initially joined our university student publication called The Catalyst. So I wrote about campus press freedom, budget cuts on in the education sector, and the social political events during the Noynoy Aquino administration, and many more. So a year after, just a short summary. A year after I joined the Catalyst, I joined a young women's group where I spent a significant amount of years cultivating my roots and learning more about my oppression as a woman, fighting gender discrimination and all forms of violence against women under the current Duterte regime. So, as an English major, I was deeply engrossed about research studies about gender difference, feminist literature, feminist stylistics, gender and language, and alongside with that eagerness to write about my womanhood, to write about the societal effects of the structural violence that affects women in general. My interest to continuously fight alongside the oppressed Filipino women paved the way for my undergraduate thesis, which was given the best thesis awardee of our college. So, ayun, right now, I'm a member of Concerned Artist of the Philippines PUP. And during the recent years, I would like to dwell more on the role of and artists in forwarding a mass-oriented people's culture through art and literature. So ayun, that's what I'm doing recently.
Um, so now you know, guys. You know, everyone know now. Was Maya is one of the people that I looked up to in my education in the academic institution that I am in, and Miss Maya is actually that person that I am talking about earlier, the one who helped us. Win the SOGSC provisions in the student handbook revisions, and even which makes those efforts even up to now felt, even though Miss Maya is an alumni of our university, those efforts has helped us younger generations and also those who are coming after us. So I would like to thank Miss Maya as well for helping us with that. Miss Maya has been a great ally to us on that sense. And um, on that aspect, on the inspirational aspect, because I really find you inspirational. Way back 2019, about your art as well. Way back 2019, I saw this interesting poem that you've done. It was pinned in your Twitter, if you can remember, covering the topic of what it is to be a woman. Um, I bet you would like to share it to our audience today and
Mm-hmm.
explain the message that it conveys regarding womanhood.
Yeah, I remember. That's currently my pinned tweet pa rin up now. I wrote this March 8th, 2020. So, we celebrate International Women's Day every March 8th. So, wala lang, parang it's just gotten to me na that year, I wasn't able to attend the protest. I wasn't able to attend the mobilization because I was going through something really sensitive. So, wala akong magawa. I was home and able to attend. I that year. So, I wrote just in a snap because kung ano lang yung pumasok sa isip ko about anything when, the muse struck me. Yun lang yun. Yun na yan. So, ito siya. Ipuki ang batayan, hindi ang panganganak, o ang kakayahan niyang magsaing o maghanda ng almusal. Sa kanya
Ladies and gentlemen, we are having a little tiny bit of technical issues. We'll be right back. Okay. All right, Abin, you're live right now. You can talk to your audience. Ask them to
Thank
ask
you,
you
Miss
questions.
Sahara.
Yes, you
Oh,
can.
there. I think Miss Maya got a internet problem. All right, so let me see if I can find Miss Maya's poem. I think it would inspire those who are feminists watching right now, and also hopefully unite cis and trans women alike. Let me find it here. While I am looking for it, you can comment down. You can ask me questions as we wait for Miss Maya to come back.
oh my God.
Hello, Miss Maya.
Nawala ako.
Yes, you lost
Oh
your
my god.
internet, but it's
Sorry,
okay. It's
sasabitan
okay.
siya ng
I
internet
was
namin. Like, super baba ng
yes,
internet. I'm sorry, but I'm back.
Laban. Miss Transglobal Philippines said Laban. All right, it's all right. What's more important is the content that we are going to raise today, and I was about to read it for them because I'm afraid you might not come back. But now that you are, I'm just thankful. Can would you like to proceed with it, Miss Naya?
While we're waiting for Miss Maya, you can answer some questions.
All right. Do we have any questions in the comments? You guys can comment anything.
We have one questions for you, sis. You can answer that one.
Sure. Alright. Of course,
Right. Maya.
the poem was just about um, the usual norm that the society expects that a woman should be. And yeah, and really lucky.
Maya is still having some issues, so you can answer some questions.
All right. You know, that is also the reality here in the Philippines. The internet connection is not really that good. That is why as someone who also came from
I'm so
the
sorry. Talagang naglalag siya.
it's okay, Miss Naya.
Can you
Okay
hear
lang
me? Can you
yan.
hear me, Albie?
Yes, I can hear you now.
So tell us about your experience in Miss Trans Global 2021 so far, preparing your content, etc. so far. Your microphone is muted, Abby. Unmute yourself.
So far, my Miss Trans Global 2021 journey has been um, honestly, it has pressured me. Well, because like what Miss Maya has been experiencing now, there is there is a lack of resources. For example, when it comes to the internet, and added up by the pandemic that is still ongoing, the new variant of Delta, the new variant of COVID-19, which is a Delta.
Yes.
um, it is really hard for us here in the Philippines to pursue our works. For example, me as a Miss Trans Global, it has been hard for me to pursue my contents because of the ongoing pandemic, and that is why also our work here is not our work here as an advocate is not just focused on our individual endeavors alone, but to call for example, as I take on the journey of Miss Trans Global, as I finish my contents, we're also calling for better COVID response, because um, a lot of our works are being affected by this COVID-19, and the resources are really lacking. But so far, it has been nice. On the bright side, it has been nice. The girls are really great. They're so sweet. I have created this bond with them, and I continue to. Miss Maya just messaged me. She is having internet issues.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. She's having internet issues. So yeah, basically as you same as the issues experienced by Miss Maya. Um those are also my struggles as in this Miss Trans Global journey. But I am constantly being reminded that we are here for the advocacy more than anything else. And so if I am gonna use this platform, then so I should just focus on the advocacy that I have. It is not just the beauty that I have, that I can offer on the table, the aesthetics of my contents. It is not just that, but the beauty that there is in the content of what I say and the purpose that I am raising. And that is including calling, for example, calling for better COVID response. Because in this current setup of pandemic, a lot of trans people are also um, um, experiencing a hardships in in doing their livelihood. For example, um,
You know,
for example, our sex workers, for example, they're not they're not um, their livelihood is much affected by this pandemic. And so I think my journey as a Miss Trans Global is not just about the contents that I have to point out, but to relay or to offer on the table, but the beauty of the content that I am raising. And I think that is what Miss Trans Global stands for. Anyways, so
how,
far it has been humbling in that sense. I was reminded of why I am here. All right. Miss Trans Global Philippines asked, how has your friendship with Maya shaped your advocacy? Let me read to you what Maya wrote. I hope. Let me translate it as well. She wrote, "Hindi puki ang batayan," or "It is not the vagina that is the basis. Hindi ang panganganak, not giving birth, o ang kakayahan niyang magsaing, or her ability to cook rice, to offer food on the table, o maghanda ng almusal, or to offer breakfast, or to cook breakfast.
True.
Sa kanyang diwang mapanlaban, in her spirit that is courageous and militant, sa hapag ng pagtunggali, in the table of discourse, naroon nakaukit, there carved, engraved, ang pagiging isang babae, on what it is to be a woman." And yeah, Miss Maya is among those. When I was in senior high school, we were experiencing this repressive policies with regards to haircut and dressing, dress codes, which has attacked trans kids, trans women in particular, more than anyone else. It is said to be affecting everyone, but it has caused trans kids in our university more trouble than anyone would have experienced. And I was looking for help, for allyship. I was looking for people who can help us raise our calls, our struggle, that it is not just that hair is not just hair. It is affecting our identity, affecting our well-being. And in looking for allyship, I was really hesitant way back then to look for solace, for example, from feminists, because there is a trend of, for example, the trans exclusionary radical feminists. That is why I felt scared to ask for help from a feminist from feminist organizations within our university. But when Miss Maya raised that poem, it has inspired me. It has made me realize that feminism, there is no such thing as as an exclusionary feminism, because feminism is inclusive in the first place. It opens its arms not just to women but to men who are affected by this patriarchy, and more so trans women. And because of Miss Maya, I felt more comfortable in working hand in hand with the organization that she is in PUP, the Gabriela Youth PUP. And later on, I joined the organization where she was the president, the Samasa PUP. And now um, I am still in the organization, and um, that is how. And this organization has also helped me make a better foundation of my advocacy, of an advocacy that is rooted to the struggle of not just gender but classes, but people in general, and and that is how Miss Maya has us our bond together has helped my advocacy grow. All right, Miss Maya is back. I read them the poem that you did,
Thank
and
you.
I
Thank you
also
so much for
translated
reading the
it.
poem. Okay.
It was really beautiful. That's why I don't want people to miss it. Anyways, would you like to add with regards to the meaning behind the poem?
Usually the people expect women, especially actually up until today, um, na for example, dapat sa bahay lang, the natural housewife material, dapat ganun ka lang. And then, of course, we label that a woman is only worthy if she uses her reproductive system. No, parang nandun yung worth niya, nasa genitals niya, no, sa panganganak, sa pag-aalaga ng pamilya, sa pag-aalaga ng asawa. Kumbaga, nalilimit doon yung kakayahan ng kababaihan mag-ambag sa mas malaki, sa iba pang larangan ng pamumuhay, sa ibang larangan pa ng pakikibaka, ganyan. Kaya ayun, di ba? Kaya sinasabi na yung definition mo ng pagiging woman ay wala sa puke, hindi batayan ng puke, hindi ang panganganak, o yung kakahiyaan niya magsaing o maghanda ng almusal. No, that's the typical myths of what a woman should be. But nandun siya dun sa kanyang ability to struggle, to contradict sa mga to confront the contradictions and the conditions she has on her plate. So ayun, that's the definition of a woman, of course. But, yeah.
Thank you so much, Miss Maya. That is beautiful. And to me, your poem also and to me, the poem also raised that being a woman is much more on the experiences that we have, that we share, the denomination of our denomination in the struggle that is being perpetuated by systems such as patriarchy. It is our denomination to that struggle that marks our womanhood and our capability to courageously mark our point and in dismantling those systemic oppressions. So thank you so much for that, Miss Maya. Let us proceed with the next question. Oh, by the way, there is one question that I would just like to answer very quickly. I stopped my hormone because of school policy. What should I do? Right. I guess I would have to answer it as a trans woman. Um, first of all, I would like you to be reminded that you are valid. You are valid with the gender that you identify with or without hormone. But so I I think it is okay if you stop or continue with your hormone if it is done on your own accord. But if it is done on the accord of a school policy that is repressing, like what you have said, it is because of a school policy, then that is when I think it is wrong. And I think just what we have raised earlier in the previous discussion, our education should not be exclusive to with its policies to other to trans people, for example, to people of diverse soji. Our education is a right to every one of us, and thus it should uphold inclusivity amongst people, regardless of your ethnicity, of your of the class that you came from, the social class that you came from, or your gender. And that is why we continue to lobby policies that are inclusive, so that institutions alike would would also apply it in the academe. And I think what you should do, well, I am not directly in your position, but I think you can find help. You can seek help, just like what I am raising in this Queendom life takeover. You can seek help from advocates. You like what I have said. To I was hesitant to seek for help from feminists before, but because of Miss Maya, I felt more comfy. And there are a lot of people who are willing to help you. You just have to seek for it. Should I follow the policy? Well, if you are comfortable with it, if you are comfortable with following the policy, then I think it's okay, because it is not hormones that marks your identity. It is innate in you. But if you are not comfy with the policy, and you are not comfy with not taking hormones, I think it is not you who is wrong. It is not you who needs changing, but the policies itself. And you can start changing these policies by working with allies, such as like what I did with Miss Maya, like what Miss Amber has been doing. You have a lot of allies around there, just need to seek for help. There are organizations, you can start by messaging them. For example, Miss Trans Global, you're here in the Miss Trans Global page, you can message them. Seek which organizations are close to your or to your place, that can help you. Um, let's go. I hope I have answered your question, but due to time constraint, let us go back to our discussion with Miss Maya. Thank you, Nathan. Miss Maya. All right. So our next question is, how would you define feminism, and like for whom is feminism for you? Following that poem that you've done.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Naglag siya ulit.
I'm so sorry. Following the poem that you did, said this concept regarding womanhood. Now, my follow up would be: how would you define feminism on that basis, and for whom is this feminism?
I think I could never discuss feminism without, talking about class exploitation and, class oppression and capitalist exploitation. And since feminism, at its core, deals with social, political, economic, and cultural difference that divides men and women, um, I think it's when we talk about fighting inequality, the usual quote that smashing patriarchy through the lens of feminism. We can't dodge, we can't skip our way to achieving our goals without touching the points of why is there inequality between men and women who are responsible for this kind of status quo. Like, sinong nagpapanatili ng ganitong kultura? Bakit may inequality to begin with? Saan siya nag-ugat? Diba? We go back to our roots, no? Ugatin natin siya ulit. And yeah, and I think that's it. Since, as what I've said, I don't think I can ever talk or discuss about feminism or gender difference without talking about class oppression and capitalist exploitation. Because, as what you've mentioned earlier, as what we've learned together in PUP, it's just never about the gender. It's not just about being friends with our hindi naman lahat ng babae ay kampi natin, 'di ba? Like hindi rin naman lahat ng trans women ay kakampi natin. It depends yan sa right or dun sa uri or sa class na pinagagalingan niya. For example, women such as Amy Marcos, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, the leaders of the country, Cynthia Villar, mga kinikilala sila as very strong, parang iconic daw ng mga women leaders before, ganyan. Pero, but in reality, ano ba ginagawa nila dun sa mas maraming number ng kababaihan sa bansa natin, sa lipunan natin, di ba? Na-exploit nila, pinagsasamantalahan ng uring pinagmulan nila. So, I mean, but when we talk about us on a personal level, me, Albi, of course we are, we are all in this together. And I think there's a lot more to unravel when it comes to feminism and how trans women is included into our struggle. So, ayan. For example, the reality is trans women, just like cis women, are part of a working class. And due to gender discrimination, trans women are having difficulty accessing or retaining jobs due to sexual violence, privacy violations, and many more. For example, we have Jennifer Laude, diba? Um, it's the same. Just like how cis women experience sexual assaults, gender pay gap, and other violence against women, we all experience that same oppression in this capitalist society. Mm.
That is very well said, Miss Maya. And there is nothing that I could think of to encapsulate what you have said. But the quote that there is that is being raised always in Pride marches or Pride parades, that there is no liberation for some if there is no liberation for all. Hindi lalaya ang ari kung hindi lalaya ang uri. And I think that is really beautiful because you cannot you cannot uh you cannot achieve liberation while you see other people being not achieving it, for example, I've felt liberated as I've almost feel like I am already accepted in the society because of the privilege that there is after winning Miss Trans Global Philippines. But in reality, a lot of trans kids like me are experiencing are still experiencing discrimination, and a lot worse than what I have experienced before. So there is still privileges, even though we came from, for example, a sector. We still that is I think the complexity and the beauty that there is in intersectionality as well. But to encapsulate, we should be reminded that there is no liberation for some if there is no liberation for all, and I think that is a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's I have another question for you, Miss Maya. So I have
Okay.
mentioned previously the TERFs, or the trans exclusionary radical feminists. So there is this persisting trend of trans exclusionary radical feminists, or they so-called TERFs, that tend to invalidate or exclude trans women of womanhood and spaces in the feminist struggle. What would be your message to them and people with mentalities alike to denominate their plight to trans folks and other marginalized sectors of our society? How would you convince them that we should be together as women, as you have said earlier, and in the essence of humanity?
I think para din sa iba na hindi masyadong for everyone na they haven't encountered the term TERFs or trans exclusionary radical feminist. The core claim that trans TERFs claim that trans women are really men and are therefore are a threat to cisgender women like us. Inisip nila na threat daw ang trans women sa safety ng cis women because they say because they claim that all men are inherently oppressors. So it invalidates transgender people. So they also doesn't allow trans people to have self-definition or any autonomy over their gender expression. So that's TERF para dun sa mga they haven't encountered the term. So actually,
Yeah.
yung mga stances ng TERFs is very dangerous. They're very dangerous, and aside from the fact that they are letting misogynistic men under the radar, slide under the radar, they poses very dangerous stances that put trans men and women in grave danger. And actually, if ayaw nilang i-include, it's ironic kasi if ayaw nilang i-include yung trans women sa struggle ng cis women, then they're not just ending misogyny. They do not fight misogyny. They are just redirecting it. So my message for TERFs would be stop weaponizing fear. Go back to your roots as a woman and integrate yourself to the marginalized sector of our society, so that you would know what actions you should take, or what study you should learn, like educational discussion you take from, and learn from the basic masses, because it's really hard. It's very difficult to have that kind of ideology na very what do you call that, non-inclusive. So alam mo yon na it's bukod sa delikado siya, sayang siya kasi ang actually parang for example sa countries like UK, parang super dominant ng mga turf doon. Parang ang dami talagang cases of violence against trans people. So yeah, it's very alarming. So yeah, my message would be stop weaponizing fear, stop putting your fellow women in danger, and go back to your roots as a woman and integrate yourself to the marginalized sectors of our society.
That is beautiful, Miss Maya. And feminism in essence should also be inclusive to everyone. It is
Mm-hmm.
not just for women, it is also for men. Even men are being oppressed by patriarchy. The pressures that are being put to them, that is also a way of patriarchy oppressing men. And I think we can only forward with our liberation as women if we have allies like men, for example, that is not just
Mm-hmm.
focus on
Yes.
ourselves. That is really beautiful. Thank you so much for that. um, for our next question, I would like to ask you, how intersectional do you think is the plight of women, trans folks, and the LGBTQIA plus community? How does this intersectionality extend to other basic masses of the Philippine setting, for instance, like farmers and workers?
Mm-hmm. I think there's still a lot of work to do when it comes to integrating to the basic masses. Like because for example, for some farmers and workers who haven't had the privilege to study or to learn about gender identity, to learn about SOGI, yung mga sinasabi natin ngayon, most of trans women or cis women doesn't have access to this. 'Di ba? So it's really
Yes.
important that organizations, grassroots organizations, ay nag-reach out to the basic masses, to these sectors. Kasi no matter how much we promote self-expression, self-autonomy, if the people cannot doesn't know how to express themselves, doesn't have the opportunities, doesn't have the platforms, then we're not really giving them anything. So it's really important for advocates, for grassroots organizations, for feminists, for women rights advocates, for activists, cultural workers, to integrate and learn from the experiences of the people. I think that's where genuine intersectionality would exist and would prosper.
That is beautiful. Again, I'm just always saying beautiful because it truly is. I remember you were the one that I've consulted my Miss Trans Global Philippines campaigns with, and
Yes.
we have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of of common grounds when it comes to campaigns. And yeah, I'm happy that you have also explained it now, because it is constant integration from sectors to sectors that we can actually forward as a society. Uh, but more so, I would like to add to it, because our plight to gender, for example, it is not just focused. It is not just affected by patriarchy, but a much bigger system which has, let's say, given birth to patriarchy. For example, in the Philippine setting, we have the macho feudalism, and macho feudalism is not just oppressing gender; it is oppressing those who are those who don't have land of their own, for example, the farmers who don't have land of their own, they are being oppressed, and also those workers. So if we would look at it, there is one system that we need to hit altogether, you know. All right. My last question for you would be, as an advocate, as advocates, upon learning what has been discussed today, what would be your parting message to our audience and fellow advocates from different sectors of the society, like a uniting message, perhaps?
Message. I think what you guys are doing is so powerful and so impactful that it can really create massive change the way we perceive people. You know, who would have thought, di ba, Albi, na sasali ka sa Miss Trans Global, eh, parang, we're just, naalala ko nag-post ka lang sa IG story mo na, let's do this, I joined with MTG, support natin, ganyan. And parang, I mean, look at you now. I mean, it's just a big leap. I mean, look at what have you done, what have you achieved mo, and the number of people you influence. And I'm just super duper proud, and I admire you so much for using such big platforms to forward our campaigns in PUP. I mean, that means everything. That means a lot to the PUP community, to the workers, to the students, to our professors, to everyone that constitutes the PUP community. I mean, I'm just amazed how sharp you answers questions and how determined you respond to your criticism, to the criticism of the trans women. So I think not just for you, but to all candidates of the Miss Trans Global and to all the audiences and to all the people who admire you so much, continue living up to your dreams and keep taking spaces because you earned it and you deserve it.
Thank you so much, Miss Maya. That is very heartwarming. I'm so overwhelmed right now with what you have said, and I just want to say that I wouldn't be here if it weren't because of the PUP community. I mean, they voted for me, they helped me with my campaigns, they have helped me learn more. So I am always bringing that aspect with me wherever I go. Because like what they say, you can't go far if you don't bring your roots, and I owe it a lot to them, and it is my means of giving back to the community that has helped me have this platform. I am here for the advocacy to begin with, and none other than advocacy. So if I cannot do that responsibility to raise the advocacies, then why am I Miss Trans Global Philippines in the first place? And I am just thankful that you have joined me here today, because I know that even though I'm, as you say, thank you for saying that I am sharp, but even though you say that I have been sharp, I have sharpened my answers. I know that it is better to share these microphones, these platforms to other. And I am thankful that you have spoken as a cis woman in allyship to trans women. And I hope more cis women and cis people realize that we are in this together, both cis and
Yes.
trans people alike. We deserve all spaces that we aspire to be in. Um, as a parting message, would you like to plug anything you have in the following days, or any campaigns in CAPUP?
Right now, I'm just inviting everyone, especially those PUP students, to join Concerned Artists of the Philippines. If you're a writer, a painter, a cultural worker, a musician, anyone who aspires to be an artist, join Concerned Artists of the Philippines. You can just message us on Facebook or Twitter. Thank you so much,
Thank
Abby,
you
for
so
having me, and
much.
thank you so much for Miss Young's Global PH for having me.
Thank you so much, Miss Maya, and I hope I can still see you later on the IG live, even though it's late already. I'm so sorry.
Sure, sige.
All right. Okay, I will be now moving on. We will now be moving on with our last segment, Thank you again, Miss Maya. Oh, Miss Vera also said school should not cross the boundaries. It's your health, and I don't think they have the right to tell you stop taking hormones unless it's making affect your studies. Then we can consider that, but otherwise, that is not right. That is. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Miss Vera. That is right, but that is right actually. In the first place, education should not interfere with our humanity or what are we are doing to our health, for our well-being. Our well-being should be upheld by the education that we have in the first place. But I just would like to add to it that hormones is not a prerequisite to us for us to be validated with our gender identities. That's why I said it earlier, that it's depending on how it affects you. Hormones, taking hormones, transition, because narratives of trans people are different from each other, and I hope we assess it better, first before we take actions. What preparations you did before joining pageant? I'm an aspiring beauty queen. Hope you notice. Beauty pageants, I would like to just say that beauty pageants, I think it is rooted to our patriarchal and colonial concepts of beauty and gender, womanhood, for example. And I think as beauty queens, you have this platform, you have this great influence on people. It can be a drive. It can influence them to be driving force to further be driving forces of the society to be better, for the society to change. Um, so I hope your vital role as a beauty queen, you as being an influential person, or like someone who can inspire people. You should be having a foundation that is much inclined on beauty, that is breaking beyond our patriarchal concepts of what beauty is. A beauty that is not just on the physical aspect or the standards that has been set by this patriarchal society, but beauty that is liberating, beauty that there is in your words, in your spirit, the purpose that you have why you join beauty pageants. Because like what I've said, beauty queens are leaders, are advocates before they are anything else. Beyond the glitz and glam of pageantry, you should you should be a driving force for the society. All right, so now let's proceed to our last segment. I was supposed to have my father here with me, but as a seafarer, he went on to other places already, wherein the signal is not that good. So he just sent us this message, and I hope it inspires those parents of trans and LGBTQ plus kids who are watching right now, and or who will be watching this, to be better allies and protect their trans kids.
Hello everyone, this is Jovelo Ribaldi, a separer, father of Miss Trans Global Philippines 2021 Albion Ribaldi, and I was invited by her to make this short video message. When Albion was a boy, I feel like I was a very lucky man in this world, because aside from he is very handsome, he grows with a good moral character, very talented boy, and he loves to study, drawing, and listening stories, which is she could now is not in the book. Since at the age of 2, I saw something strange with his moves, which is very different from the other boys. Then I talked to her mother about this, and she respected my opinion to raise Alvin away from the LGBTQIA plus communities way. of living by means of constant telling her about the dark sides of being a gay. No long haircuts, no girly moves, and no wearing of girly clothes. When she started to go to school, we found her that she is very good in her academics and she always win her contest. She becomes our little star and she is also very good in drawing, which is she always drew a girl characters, and on that point I have confirmed she is not a boy but a girl. At the age of 10, my fight begins to become heightened. I have treated her that I will leave her and her mom is if she continued her transgenderness. Then I see the sadness in her face and she become very secretive to me. You know, every time I heard some people talking against the LGBTQIE plus community, I was hurt because my child was one of them. And it seems like I want to punch everyone who are bullying them. Then one day, her mother told me, please accept the humanity of our child if you truly love her. But I ignored it for a long time. But you know, inside my heart, I slowly accepted her without word of acceptance. One time her mother asked me to come with her to watch a miski contest in the next barangay in our town where she paid one table for us. You know, this is the very first time I have ever watched a miski contest, and that was in 2019. The contestant is about 16 persons from the other towns of Iloilo, our city. On that night, I have watched him so well, and that was on the talent portion. I have laughed so hard with the people's watching there. But when they speak one by one, there are two contestants who truly touched my heart. On that night, I shed tears not only for my trans woman child, but for the whole community. Now, my message to my trans woman child, Albion Rebaldi, good luck to your journey of this pageantry as Miss Trans Global 2021. You have my full support, my love. I know you can do it. Win or lose, you are always a winner in my heart. I know you very much because that spirit and courage inside you is just a super duper hybrid version of mine. Now, on this day, I announce that I am an ally of LGBTQIE plus community. And for those people who are against them, please learn more, study more, so that you can learn to love them. Lastly, my message to those parents who are like me, who have a child who belongs to the LGBTQIA plus community, please support them to become a respected person. Like Albion said, a love without conditions. Because the fight we do is a fight which dwells against no one but ourselves until we see the casualties was our children's, not us. Thank you.
You know,
Thank you so much.
everyone, I've read.
It's so beautiful. My God, absolutely stunning. Oh, beautiful. Oh,
I know I shouldn't be getting emotional right now because I've already watched it last night and I cried last night. But I don't know. I fear that I might still ruin my makeup today. I almost cried still.
no, it's very
My
emotional.
papa is not really.
It's very emotional because
You know
there are
what,
a lot
Miss
of
Hara?
trans, a lot of trans people don't have parents who love them. There are a lot of trans people whose parents don't even accept them. A lot of trans people are being murdered because they are disowned by their parents. They have no accommodation, they have nowhere to live. So it's kind of beautiful to see a father who actually didn't understand but unlearned it and educated himself about who we are and then started supporting you. That is beautiful. It's amazing.
Indeed, Miss Sahara, I am really proud of my father because he has done a lot of things that he is not normally doing, just so he can understand who I am and she can be a better father to me. For example, right now he's not really a speaker, but he did this speech, which has really moved me. I have to be honest.
Yeah,
And he is constantly learning how to be a better ally himself. And I think it is really powerful to hear it from a parent, because there is no other greater ally that could be there for us other than our parents, of course. I remember telling my teacher way back in elementary about this, and that my parents still don't accept me way back then. And she told me that I should make them realize that um if that all they really want is
yeah,
safety for me. All that they are doing is that they're doing that because they love me. But a love that is not liberating is no love at all. And if parents want to protect their children, then maybe it is not their children that needs changing, because the LGBTQ plus kids' identities are natural. It is innate in us. But what is not natural is the society that sets unfair conditions to us and puts us in grave danger. And that is only their fear, the fear of our parents. And to those parents who are watching right now, that is only their fear because they love their children. But if you truly love them, their well-being are being affected negatively when you repress them. It is not them that needs changing, but these unnatural societal norms. Then maybe it's time for you to realize that you should win the society for them, with them, for us, with us.
yeah,
And I am just proud of my father that he has learned that.
yeah. That's beautiful. I think with time as well, let's hope that more parents learn and see what's going on. Same with Mela's parents were very supportive as well, which is actually very beautiful to see. So yeah, yeah, please give him our love and our hug because what he's doing is just remarkable. It shouldn't be revolutionary, but unfortunately, the society and the communities that we find ourselves, it is a revolutionary art, to love your child unconditionally. So yeah. Hmm.
Indeed, Miss Sahara.
Hmm.
And I
You have
think
you have
as
a
you're
guest.
talking,
You have a guest in the background. We can hear a guest. We can hear your guest in the background.
and you know what, as we are talking about allyship, I think the best allies that we can have are parents as well. And I hope our parents choose to be allies to us. Just like what I've said earlier, we we are persisting. Our identities won't go anywhere. We will not go anywhere. And it's just for them to choose which part of the history they will be siding on, the right side or the wrong side, the side that liberates us, that is inclusive, or the side that continues to oppress us and excludes us from the society. And I hope they choose the first one.
True. I agree. Totally agree. All right. So that was the last part of your show.
Actually, that is the last part of my show. Having my father's message. I would love to interview him, but since he has no signal right now, he just sent me the message. Um, So, as a parting message, that is just my message to all trans parents out there as well, to remember the love that you have for your child, and if you and if you really do love them, then you should win the system for them as well. You should be better allies to them. Um, Within the households, in academic institutions, outside these basic institutions, and in whatever spaces that we have in society, everyone should be compassionate of each other. We should be allies to each other, and just like trans people being allies to the plight of cis women and LGBTQ plus in general, as we have been in the forefront of the fight of the LGBTQ plus, and so can others should be great allies to each of us, each sectors. That would be all, Miss Sahara.
Give us your closing statement.
Um, my closing statement is that I have said it actually, that we are talking now about allyship, and I think I hope every one of us should be reminded to be compassionate of each other, to be allies to each other, whether it is inside the household, the basic unit of society, academic institutions, in whatever spaces. Let us choose to always be good to our counterparts, cis or trans alike, anyone coming from different orientations, gender, ethnicity, social classes, socioeconomic backgrounds. I hope we always choose to be compassionate and be allies to one another, because in this world that is so brutal, that there is an ongoing systemic oppression to not just a certain sector, but to a lot of sectors. We need to see our denomination, and only through being good allies to one another can we forward. That would be all, Miss Sahara. And of course, if you want me to further my advocacies and my campaigns, please don't forget to vote for me on misstransglobal.com, the website, and you can buy stars for me. Half of the proceeds would go to frontline organizations that serve and protect trans people. And yeah, if you want to see my other contents as well, you should vote for me. Help me advance to the further parts of the competition. Thank you so much. So that would be all for our live takeover.